Thank you for joining Talking Flicks with a Chick. And today's show is being sponsored by the film Fun and Games. It's about a single father of a high spirited adolescent daughter who enjoys playing twisted, bloody, and psychotic family games. Okay. Father uses the cuteness and innocence of his daughter to lure trusting single women into their playground of torture. And here is the trailer of Fun and Games. Hey, that was Fun and Games, directed, written by yours truly. And you can find it here on the channel. It is my first solo project. It's a mini short. I have another movie that I was one of the directors and writers of, and it is a romance thriller on Vimeo called Wanted Love. And go ahead and check that out. And we can now get into our show. You know how we start off, okay? You know we're gonna do. I'm not calling it a quiz, okay? I'm gonna call it trivia. So we're gonna start off with the trivia, and I'm gonna ask you, did you know this? Did y'all get that right? So if you don't know by now, if you didn't tell by the thumbnail, okay, and the quiz, we are going to be talking about our top five musical dramas, okay? And I love musicals, and I know my guest does too, okay? So, but before we get started, before I bring her on tonight, go ahead and hit that like, okay? It costs nothing at all. Okay, hit that like button. Okay, and then you know other people who love movies, who are fellow movie nerds. Go ahead and share the video. Okay, so we are on a road to 500. Okay, 500 subscribers. So I know it can be done. I know it's going to be done. So thank you in advance. Okay, all right. So today's guest, remember I said that I have another movie that I was a part of called Wanted Love, and she actually was in our movie. Okay. You can find it again, Wanted Love, on Vimeo. And it's a nice romantic thriller. It was funny. It was fun to work on. It was fun to write. And it was fun to direct. So without further ado, let me bring on tonight's guest, actress, Terri Marshall. Hey,
Hello.
Terri.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, everybody.
Hey. So before we have you tell us just a little bit about yourself. How was it working on our film Wanted Love? How was your experience?
Oh my God. It was so much fun. I learned so much, because I was new. I was new to the business of making movies.
Hmm.
I had been in the background a little bit on a couple of projects. I've been in a few other types of things and more like commercial sound,
Yeah.
sound, things like that, sound bites and things like that. So it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting everybody, and the movie came out so well. I was
You did.
very proud to be a part of it.
Oh, yay. We were
Yeah.
glad to have you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Terri.
So, I am a mother of two, and it's funny because my children are like 20 years apart. That wasn't planned, but it was,
It was
it
a
happened.
oops.
I love it. I think it's been a blessing to have both of them even that far apart. It's been so much fun. And yeah, I enjoy movies and anything entertainment. I've always been interested in fashion and
Mhm.
movie making, commercials, anything in the entertainment business, gossip, the whole thing. I've loved it. Radio, I'm very into music. So that is another thing that's very important to me. I always wanted to be a singer, can't sing, but
Oh,
but I
okay.
like to pretend.
Okay.
So yeah, but I love anything with all the even commercials. I love anything like that. So I've always, tried to jump in and out of little things that as I go along. But it's been great. I've
Good.
enjoyed it. Yep, I've enjoyed it. So
Good.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're not gonna hold you guys any longer. We are going to get into our top five musical dramas, and it was so hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard because you guys, because I'm breaking them up, right? So this week, we're gonna have it's the musical dramas. In the future, we're gonna do like the musical documentaries, the musicals, romance,
Yeah.
comedy, romantic comedies. It's so many like subgenres that we can get
Yeah.
into, just over the
Exactly.
course of the show. So
Hmm.
yeah. So how this goes, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time, welcome. All movie nerds,
Welcome.
all movie nerds are welcome here. Okay. I am a self-professed movie nerd. That is what one of the things I nerd out about, and it is movies. Anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what we do is the guest always goes first. We are going to take turns from telling our top five, and we're going to start from five to one, with some trivia or did you knows, thrown in the mix. Always do that on whatever topic that we do, and yeah, let's get started. I'm so excited to hear what you have. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I love musicals, and especially if they are African American
Okay.
musicals. I believe that I love them all, but some of them are more you connect more. You can kind of appreciate the
Yeah.
music a little more when you've grown up listening to it, and you care about the people who made the music, and if they've
Yeah.
made a movie about that person, you're interested. You want to know, where did that come from? How did they get there?
Mhm.
So, some of them are, entertainment in that direction, so you can understand that person, their lifestyle. And other ones are just plain old fun. So,
Right.
one of my favorites, of course, is The Wiz. I mean, who doesn't love that? And it's like the way that they told the story. I mean, a lot of people I know, were upset when the movie first came out or was talked about being done because they cast Diana Ross,
Mhm.
and it was a thing where they felt like she was too old. But the way that the movie was written, it was more original. I mean, there was a Broadway version, but this one was a little bit different because of her age and where they were coming from.
She
So,
was like what 30 or in her 30s or something like that.
yeah.
Playing
So,
Dorothy. Yeah.
yep. So they didn't take it from where they did on the Broadway. It was kind of a version that they made
Okay.
themselves with her being older, which I thought was actually more interesting because you figure people that get to a certain age don't really, their dreams kind of die down, and they don't
Yeah.
think that oh, this won't happen to me. But the movie to me was kind of like, I had this dream and I wanted to be this person and I wanted to do this thing, and she didn't think she could do it. And then in the end, she's like, I'm going to go for it. So I think that
That's a good
was,
way of. of looking at that. I like that.
Yeah, so she went on, and in our ongoing tale of that story, we are going to imagine her going on and pursuing her dream.
I like that.
So yeah, so the music, of course, Quincy Jones, of course, and
Yeah.
rest in peace,
Rest
Quincy.
in
I
peace.
loved him.
Yes.
I felt like I was losing an uncle, or
Aw.
something, because you get so familiar
Yeah, we
um,
do.
with their music and their stories and their families and stuff, and you have a lot of respect for them. Um, and he just made such great music.
He did.
So, that, of course, always drew me in. Even if you didn't see the movie, when you heard the soundtrack, you're like, oh my God, this is great. Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, of course, that had to be on the list.
Yeah. Now, when you said, of course, who doesn't like to whiz, I raised my hand. I am unpopular opinion. I did not like to whiz.
You didn't. No, you got to tell me why.
So I saw it just like all the movies in my childhood. I saw them as a kid. And I don't
Mhm.
know, it just didn't, it left a bad
Didn't
taste
get
in
you?
my mouth. I don't know how old I was when I saw it. I know it had to
Okay.
been around the time where I had to been under 10, 10 or
Okay.
under, I know for sure.
Okay.
And I didn't like the whole, the witch on the throne, a literal throne. I just didn't like none of that. I didn't. I did. I never really went back to it either
Okay. Okay.
all those years. So I don't know. Maybe I had to revisit it, but I just
I
and
understand
people would
though.
say that I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I understand. It's kind of weird because we're used to the other version is a little more childlike,
Yeah,
innocent, sort of dreamy. This one was kind of. I mean, I
like
think it had
gritty,
a gritty type of.
but I like
Uh,
grit. I just
yeah.
again, I think it just stemmed from when I saw it, what I thought of it as a child, because I never revisited after that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
So
would
it
say,
might be different.
yeah. I mean, you know how it is when you go back and look at something
Yeah,
as
yeah,
an adult. It's
yes.
different for you. I think my favorite. I would probably say my favorite scene is when Lena Horne comes on and she sings
Mm,
that song that she sings. And I am a person who loves lyrics.
yeah.
So when
Mhm.
she's talking about, you know, uh, what she thinks that people should do with their lives, basically, just believe in yourself. That part, I mean, for me, it meant a lot for me because it
Mm,
brought on the fact that you're like, here it is in this, you're in this gritty town, and you're going through so much, and your family's there and everybody's on you, and they're trying to say, oh, you're too old and all this.
mhm.
And she's just telling you, no, no, no. You have to believe it. You have to believe it before it happens. Believe that you already have it, and it'll come. So I
I
think,
might have to revisit it.
yeah, it was different. It was different. I will say,
I might have to revisit. But you know what? I'm not opposed to seeing because I love Broadway
yeah.
plays, and I had a chance to complete a bucket list of mine that was to actually go see a Broadway musical on Broadway, and I did in New York, and I plan
Okay.
to go back to, um, but I wouldn't mind seeing that on Broadway. I wouldn't
How
mind.
was your how? What did you think about seeing the play on Broadway? Did you enjoy it? Did you feel like it gave you a little more? Um,
About 'cause I went to
the
go
Broadway
see.
play that you saw?
Yeah, I saw The Waitress.
Okay.
So that was
Okay.
a movie. It started off as a movie, and then
Mhm.
it became Broadway.
Mhm.
And Sarah Bareilles, who I love,
Mhm.
she wrote everything, every song. And number one, it felt, oh my gosh, it felt good because New York. I've always wanted to like visit New York.
Mhm.
New York is like my spirit city,
Okay. Yeah.
and oh my God, just seeing the actual performance, having the playbill, being in the theater. It was just an awesome experience. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, they invited people. Um, it was like a contest, like if you want to go and sing a song from the actual play,
Hmm.
you might get a chance to be like an extra. That was like the promotion that they did.
Oh,
So I stayed for to watch the people that was, in the crowd to
yeah.
actually audition. It was fun. It was really fun. Yeah.
Oh, see, I love stuff like that because it makes it personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Wiz is your number five. Okay. So
Yeah.
my number five is this movie. I don't know if a lot of people have heard of it. It did come out on the show. 'Cause I saw it when it first came out and loved it. It's called August Rush.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So August Rush, it came out in 2007. It was directed by Kristen Sheridan. And fun fact, the screenplay and story by is none other, was written by, and the idea came from um, the original Michael Myers, Nick Castle.
Really?
Yes, because he, after he did Halloween, he, he
Yeah.
he went on to like direct movies
Yeah.
that we've seen,
Mm-hmm.
and write too. So yeah, yeah. So he
Wow.
was one
That's
of he was one of the writers. Mhm.
that's interesting.
Michael Myers
That
up here giving us some beautiful.
I know, right?
So August Rush, it's about a musically gifted orphan, Evan, who runs away from his orphanage and searches in New York City. He searched for his birth parents. Okay, and on his journey, he's taken under the wing of the wizard, and the wizard is a homeless man who lives in an abandoned theater. So
Mm.
it stars Freddie Highmore, great actor. He was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Freddie's always been a great actor. Carrie Russell, Jonathan
Okay.
Rhys Myers, and Robin Williams, and Terrence Howard was in it as
Oh
well.
wow.
And it was just a great movie. Um, and music itself was another character of this film.
Okay.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
are a lover of music, if you are a musician, whether that's your voice, whether that's a guitar, piano, or whatever other instrument, you especially will probably love this movie. So it's so his parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
They met one night. They're from like two different parts of the tracks per se. Um,
Okay.
his mother was a cellist. She went to Juilliard, and her father was he was a lead singer and guitarist of a rock band.
Mm-hmm.
So their paths crossed at this party that was given by a friend of a friend of a friend, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, began to talk and everything, and they spent the night together.
Okay.
She became pregnant, but he never knew because her father was the type of father is like, don't be bringing no riff raffs around here, that
Yeah.
type. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so she, the mom, we see that she gotten pregnant from that one night.
Mm.
And again, he doesn't know. Her father was just livid. She was trying to get away from him. A car hits her, takes her to the hospital. They have to, do surgery and everything. And her father told her, because when she came to, the father told her that the baby didn't make it, but he lied.
Oh wow. It got a little twist
So
there.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's a good movie because little Evan, he just knows, like he's like a prodigy, a music prodigy. Like
Okay.
he can hear music in everything. He can hear it from like a truck going down the street, hitting rocks. It's like he can hear the beats and stuff, so he can just generate music and from everywhere. So the music is in him, and he had this firm belief if he leaves or runaways from the orphanage, that his parents, because of the music, would find him. It's a little like
Oh,
fantasy too, because it's like, of course, this
oh,
will not happen in real life, but that's what make most movies good. It's like it takes you out of the realm of the ordinary and of the,
okay.
of the
Mm,
status quo per se.
right. Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
really good. I don't want to tell too much of it. Let me
Mhm.
just say that, Robin Williams' character, he
I
plays
love him.
Wizard.
Mhm.
It was
I
they were
love
they,
him.
they were wrong for how they had him. You could tell he was so much older. They try to make him look younger. But anyway,
Oh.
ooh, that die is not dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was such a great musically done film. It's just really good, and I believe is you can like rent it like $3.99 on like Google Play or something like that. But
Okay.
on this
Okay.
list is my number five. So what's your number four?
So my number four is, of course, I'm sticking with the African American
All
genre,
black,
just
everything, but
just
no.
because yes, just because I think that this generation is a little lost on the the musicals that meant something to our community, our
Mhm,
we it brought us together. Like you could sit in the room and you start humming a song and everybody in there knew it, and you could bring it together. If you're Thanksgiving, you bring up a song and then you're humming and they're going, oh yeah, and they remember steps and things like that that happen. It
mhm.
draws people together. Even now, a lot of it though is getting, I feel like it's getting lost in um people not introducing it to the younger generation, and I
Okay.
feel like it's important because it's a part of our history.
Yes.
So some of us, we really need to have that so that we can have things to you know latch on to with as a collective.
Mhm.
It's a I think it's a little scary when you don't have that amongst your own, and
That's
I think
true.
that music always brings people together.
Always,
Always brings people together. So if you
good
could
or
do
bad.
that, it's like that old saying, the Pied Piper, you'll follow, and
Mhm.
you'll enjoy each other enjoying the music. So now this one, I loved more than the music. I loved the subject matter. It's
Okay.
School Days.
Oh,
That was a Spike Lee movie
okay.
that came out. And it was he was trying to, I believe, explain or dive into the levels of um, class
Colorism.
and
Colorism. Mhm.
colorism in our community. We've got a lot of that still going on, not as
Yeah.
bad, but I think that it is something that we still need to dive into. It's a lot of people who believe that, well, I wear this kind of thing and I look like this and I have that, so I'm better. When someone else could be just smart and you know they're gifted in their own way. So I think he pointed out a lot of things at the time that was still a little controversial,
Oh yeah.
with the colorism
I mean,
thing.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, and it gets brought up every so often. I hear people talking about, even with the today's music, they want to say, oh, well, this person isn't as famous or they didn't get as much, notoriety because
Mhm.
they didn't have this or they didn't look like this or they didn't come from this, and it's still going on, which is just so crazy, But I mean, uh, the way he told it, it was kind of raw, and it was in a way that it showed, our kids going to college and how that might look like in a college with mostly all of your peers are in the same,
Yeah.
whether it be religion or, race or whatever. They were in the same, uh, kind of in the same space, but how still different we are.
Yeah.
Even in our conversations with one another, it becomes like, oh, well, you can talk about that in front of this type of person, but if they're that, then you gotta, it's weird, and it's all in our own race.
Yeah,
So
it is.
it just, it was interesting. I thought that he had so many layers and of course the music was great.
The
you
music
know
was
um
calm.
the
Okay.
dance choreography
Yes.
was fun. And it's one to, I say, revisit, and I think that it would be great for teenagers and
Yes,
that to kind
I
of get
agree.
into that, to kind of see how stuff isn't changing unless you look at your history and talk about stuff.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I love School Days, and it yeah, I love School Days as well. And I really, because I was like on the younger side still, like when that came out, to like really appreciate it. It wasn't
Hmm.
until like I just knew that, I like to sing and the dancing.
Hmm.
But like as I became an adult, I fully understood like what he was, the message, Spike always giving us a
Message.
message. Of
Message.
giving us a message in a movie, which I love.
Yeah.
And because we know that that movie had a lot of heavy hitters like Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
never pronounce his name, but he played Gus in Breaking Bad. Oh my
Oh,
God.
yes. Well, he has a new show out as well.
He
He's got.
always
He's
he
got.
always working. I love him.
Yes, he's done. Oh God.
He's
New
done a
versions
ton of
of,
things.
yeah, Star Wars and new. He's a
Tons
great,
of
great
things.
actor. And
Yeah,
he's got a commercial with Spike Lee right now.
oh
It's really
really?
cute. He does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, and it stars also Tisha Campbell
Yep.
and a
Christina
fun,
Arnold.
yeah, Tisha Arnold. A fun fact about the movie. I know he's this been said, but just in case you haven't heard it, what I thought was like, okay, you doing a Hitchcock. This is the stuff that I want to do in my film. So those actors and actresses just be on the alert just when you come and do my film.
Yeah.
No, but he had to keep like the tension between the cast so it can really translate in the movie, because the whole movie is like Terry said, is really is about colorism.
Yeah.
And to my Caucasian brothers and sisters that watch this show,
Mm-hmm.
just a brief little synopsis here.
Mm-hmm.
So colorism is what happens in our community, and it stems from slavery,
Mm-hmm.
where you have like the fairer skin, black people and the darker skin. That's been pit against us ever since slavery. Because the
Yeah.
lighter, the fairer skin was in the house, and the darker skin was out in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that carried over, for generations to generations, and it's something that a lot of us, our family members, deal with or dealt with. And Spike was just bringing to light the issues of colorism that we still have in our community. And
Mm-hmm.
what he did was, again, to have the tension against one another to be really feel authentic. He had the wannabes, because I don't even want to. Okay, so it's the wannabes and the jigaboos.
Yeah.
So,
Oh God. Yeah.
he had the wannabes, the fairer skin, the cast like your Tisha Campbell's and them,
Hmm.
with
And I said Tashina Arnold, but I meant
Jasmine
to say
Guy.
Jasmine Guy. That's what I
Yes,
meant to say.
Jasmine
Jasmine
Guy.
Guy.
So
Hmm.
he had them stay in a very nice hotel, while the
Oh,
while the darker skin class, they stayed in like a motel.
did not know that.
Yes.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
what a great commentary you had. I didn't know.
yep.
Yeah,
So because
that would do it.
yeah, So he did that purposefully, so they can, again, so that magic that transforms on the screen that we now see can be really real. And it was.
Okay.
And I said he's like
Yeah.
Hitchcock in that because Hitchcock in the movie Psycho, he they had different takes when the shower scene. They had
Hmm.
different takes of the actress, with warm water. But that final take, he didn't tell her it was cold water. So that scream was for real.
Oh wow! I love it. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That
So
is that's when you know that somebody is gifted in their field. When they
yeah.
have those kind of things that they can think of to make the difference in the shoot,
Hmm.
to change the directory of that
Yeah.
and really have some authentic moments makes it so much more real, and it makes you, if you feel it more.
Yes. Yeah. Because
That's awesome.
it comes across the screen as such. So yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
When
I
they
like
hold
that.
information and somebody, you might have a scene where you got to scream, but then you don't know where it's coming from and they jump out and you
Right.
get that authentic, scream. It's
Yes.
I love that. I
Yeah.
did not know that. That's great to know. Great to
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about your number four, School Days?
So yeah, that talk. I don't think I realized how deep it was because I was young. When I saw the
Yeah.
movie, but
Hmm.
I recognized it, and it's a sad thing to say that you do recognize it, but it is real, and it's something that we still shy away from talking about. And I think it runs deep, or it ran deep
Yes.
in the colleges because of like the sororities
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
fraternities and the way you were chosen for things, or looked up to or followed because
Mhm.
had supposedly some type of an advantage for being a different shade.
Yeah.
And I know that it comes across a lot, uh, when you talk about fraternities and sororities. Since the movie was called School Days, it really was about what they were facing in black colleges with each
And I
other.
like how he chose to. I like the play on words. I like the School Days.
Yeah, days. Yeah,
DAYS. I love
you're
that.
not
Yeah.
walking.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it tackled a lot more too, especially with the Lawrence Fishburne part, where he's just trying to tell you, where your black roots are,
Yep.
what you should be, looking at and studying. And some of this stuff is superficial and it's pride and ego, you
Yeah.
know, and you really should go deeper than just somebody's straight hair or kinky hair, or you know. Uh, the
Yep.
fairness, if you're fair enough or whatever. You know what, it used to make me think, like, who made the scale? Like, how do you know
Mm.
if you're light skinned or dark skinned? Somebody has to tell you, so it has to be somebody's opinion. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I
Mhm.
always wondered, when it comes to us being on our own, who decides? I just, I'm trying to figure out, because I mean, people are all different shades, so who decides who gets to be what? So
Right. The same they is they, whoever they are.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
School Days is a classic, y'all, and I really do suggest that if you have not seen it, if it's been a minute, go ahead and revisit that. School Days is really good. Spike Lee is a
The
great director,
music,
a great writer. The music
yes.
is on point. I
The
mean, it
dances,
still
yeah.
holds up. It still
Yeah,
holds
because
up.
they still play, there's a song called Doing the Butt.
Hmm.
And it is people get up and dance when they hear it come on at all the functions and all the, family picnics and stuff.
Oh
Although it's a
yeah.
funny
Oh,
name, but
that
it's
Pablo boat, that last Pablo boat.
yep,
In
yep.
Michiganders know what I'm talking about.
Good old go-go music, you know.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay. That's a good pick. I thought
Mm.
about that too. That's a good pick. So I'm gonna go the other way from your number five. My number four is the Wizard of Oz.
Mine too. Mine too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my number four is the Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
the 1939, directed by Victor Fleming. Of course, we know it starred Julie Garland. And when I tell you, that's like one of my favorite musicals ever.
Mine too. Yep, mine
That
too.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That's one of my
Yes,
favorite songs ever.
yes, yeah.
Um, it talking about messages, that had a message as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it was a great film for that time. um,
Yes. Yeah.
Especially when it went to color. And it's just, the Wizard of Oz is a good time. It reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I don't even know how many times I've seen it, but
I
I love it.
know.
My mom
Yeah.
introduced it to us, and I love the Wizard of Oz. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so for me, that's one of my favorites, and I had somebody buy me like a it was a it's a replica, but it's an old poster of the original advertising for The Wizard of
Mm,
Oz. So that's one of my favorite movies. So I collect like a few things. I have a few things that are old and connected to the movie. But for me, uh, the message in it is a great message. Appreciate your life and hold
appreciate
on to your hope and all of the sayings that she gets to
trust
say
in yourself, because you already have the ability within you to do.
within you, within
Yeah.
you. Yes, that is the truth. And funny, I have a
Go
fun
ahead.
fact. Shirley Temple was supposed to do the movie,
I just read
and
that today.
yeah, she was supposed to do the movie, and she went on to do another film that they thought was gonna be great, which I loved. I loved that movie, but it was kind of in that same kind of fantasy, uh, inspiring type of
Mhm.
thing. But it was a sad movie because the the actual storyline was about kids passing away and kind of a going to heaven type thing. So I think that kind of didn't work with the audience at that time.
Yeah,
And they ended up right. They ended up choosing
anytime.
they ended up choosing Judy Garland, which I think she did an awesome
Yeah,
job. And
awesome.
that song I think couldn't have been done by anybody else
I can't.
at
I
the
can't.
time.
Even though Patty, you know,
Yes, of course. Of course. Yeah.
Miss
That
Patty,
guy. Yeah. Yeah.
but for that traditional sound, it's just
Yes.
that movie score sound is just
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah. And the special
And
effects of that time were really good because it went from black and white to color, so that was
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was. And we could actually see the yellow brick road.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is the time of the show. It is called Did You Know? Did you know? All right, so our factoid today is taken from The Wizard of Oz. So it says during the filming of the scene where the Wicked Witch was burned by the fire, the actress who played the witch, Margaret Hamilton, she she actually got burned. Her dress, hat, and broom caught on fire, and she was severely burned on her face, and her head, and she needed about 6 weeks to recover.
Oh my God, isn't that something? Who knew? And growing up, like I said, some things are funny when you look at it because you think I always thought of her as the Wicked Witch, but when I was little, she used to do. She was she was a she did commercials for um, a coffee company. I want to say it was either Folgers or Maxwell House, and
Okay.
she did all of these commercials, like a series of them. And we used to always say, "The witch drinks coffee." So it was funny. Like that's where we knew her from. So it was just funny to see her in that. But wow, I
Yeah.
mean,
So as an
wow.
actress, what how far would you go? But no, especially like back 1939, and
Yeah,
they're probably filming it a little bit like the year before.
yeah,
And the pyrotech, they probably had no people doing the pyro.
Mm,
Like, come on, they were just winging it. Probably
mm.
the fire got out of hand.
It's crazy now with the fire stuff. I don't know how immersed I would be in trying to do some acting, because when I heard
Oh
about
no,
Michael
it would have to
Jackson,
be a stunt double. It would have
yeah,
to be yeah, that's stunt double stuff.
yeah, yeah, really. I mean, really, because I'm thinking like Michael Jackson when his hair got caught on fire, and then he, ended up losing it, didn't grow back, and then he started wearing the hair pieces because of it, and the severe burn. That's a lot for
It
your
is a lot.
craft. You know, I don't know. I don't know about no fire. I'm hot,
Right.
but I don't want to be hot like that.
All right, Terry. What is your number three musical?
Okay, so my number three would actually be, I would have to say, Sparkle.
Hmm.
Only because, and I'm gonna say this, I love the movie Sparkle. I love the music the most. The storyline at the time for me was a little bit mature. So,
Very mature.
yeah, a little mature. So I didn't really get that part of it when I was younger, but the music, I mean, and the story about the sisters, and the one that didn't really, the one that they looked at and she was so beautiful. She was the oldest and she was supposed to
Yeah,
be the smart one and da da da. And she had this, toxic relationship with this man who was, you
that was
know,
Irene Cara's character, right?
the sister. It was the sister's character. What's her name? Oh God. Uh,
Oh, her. She was on
yeah, she was beautiful.
yeah, yeah. I think
She
but she's
did.
the one who was on Women of Butcher Place.
Yes, exactly. Uh-huh.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, so, I really, again, I love the underdog in movies, and the whole thing about being told that you can't do it when you feel it, when you believe it. And it was another thing where the Irene characters, you know, uh, Irene's character just knew,
Yeah,
she's like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be, you know, who I say I'm going to be. So it was just, at the time, like I said, it was tragic, but it was the music, Aretha Franklin,
yeah.
she touched me, and, I just really connected with the music in
Okay.
that
Did you
particular.
like the remake?
I, you know what, it was fine. I just think that their telling of it wasn't as connecting. I didn't really feel that much from it. So I think if they do it again, if they can find people who are able to sing as well as, get a little personal,
Hmm.
more connecting with the audience. I think we were a little disconnected because we didn't really feel for them the same way. So, it was okay. It wasn't the
Okay.
greatest, but you know,
Okay. Sparkle. Yeah, my mother loves Sparkle, so
mhm,
I like
mhm,
Sparkle. But it
yeah,
wasn't one I went to like all the time, but I saw it a few times.
yeah, mhm.
All right. So my number three is there a heart? Is there a heart in
Oh,
the house
all right now.
tonight? Stand
Hey,
up. Okay, five
stand up.
heartbeats. Okay. The five
Oh, that's on
heartbeats.
my list.
The
On my
five
list.
heartbeats is my number three.
Yeah.
Um it it starred oh my gosh, Leon. Oh my God, Robert Townsend. Robert Townsend directed it, and
Excellent job.
yeah, and he co-wrote it with Keenan Ivy Wayans. A lot of
It
people
was
don't know that.
excellent.
A
Yeah.
lot of people
I,
don't know
I,
that Keenan Ivy Wayans co-wrote that Five Heartbeats.
and who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? That
Um,
was an excellent movie.
yeah. So Five Heartbeats. Oh man, I remember going to the movies and seeing that. Um, and I remember in high school, like the seniors for one of their fundraisers, we used to have like show movies in the auditorium. And I remember
Mhm.
that was the first movie that they showed in the auditorium. And
Oh wow.
oh yeah, but yeah, so the Five Heartbeats is it's just about the rise and fall of a singing group. Of it was It's a fictional singing group that Robert and Keenan wrote about, but it was just it's a lot of quotables. You
Yes,
know,
it is.
it's a lot of quotables.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I walk, especially in our community, if I walk up to anybody, like, like within a certain age group, and I just walk up to them on the street, but like, "Dun," they know what that is.
Yeah.
You want to hang with old Eddie Kane? I mean, it's just like
Yes.
my office
Yeah.
hours are 9 to 5. I mean, it's just it was good. And what's her name was in it? She was played the mama. Oh my God. Oh, pretty lady. She just passed not too long ago. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Diane.
Carol.
Yes.
She was beautiful, and I loved her on her TV show. You know, I was so proud to know that she was the first, leading black actress who had a TV show.
Hmm.
But gorgeous. But she was classy. She was just so elegant with it. Even when she had to cut them up, she just was
Right.
class. She just respected her. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate her and Claudine as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Five Heartbeats. So we'll talk more on it on when it comes to when it shows up in your list. But that was my number three. So what is your number two?
So my number two, and it's a movie that I've loved since I first saw it. Fame. It's another Irene Cara. Fame for me was a dreamer's movie. It was
Mhm.
very New York. It was very scruffy. It was,
Yeah.
fighter type movie. Like I gotta make this happen.
Mhm.
I really do think that there were a few songs that really touched me. And like I said with Irene Cara, um, you know, uh that song, Fame, the song itself, the lyrics. I'm a
Iconic.
lyric person.
Iconic.
I'm a lyrics person. And she's like, remember my name. I'm going to
Mhm.
live forever. I'm going to learn how to fly,
Hi.
Yes. People will see me and die. I was like, girl, that's fame.
Yeah.
That's really what that means. And that song to me as a young girl who didn't know how to express what I was feeling about the
Mhm.
entertainment business or didn't know how to get into it or, that kind of thing where you're not sure what you want your purpose to be or what you love. You're just kind of trying to figure it out. But that movie with them trying to do what they were doing and living those lives that they had that weren't great, that yeah, it just Debbie Allen, it was the whole thing
Yeah.
about really trying, and not always getting it right.
Yeah.
So I really felt the songs in that movie. And she did the Out Here on My Own song. You
Mhm.
kind of feel like you're alone. You're alone. You
Yeah.
just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, that
That's a
I
good
loved
pick.
it. I
That's a good
loved it.
pick. I used to love the TV series too.
Oh yes,
But Janet
definitely.
Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was great. It was great. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Um, it's my number two, right? Yep. So my number two is a childhood favorite of mine. I wanted to be in this movie. I wanted to be one of the kids in the movie.
Oh, I think I know where we're going because that was on my list too.
And that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Let me tell you. Mm,
So Willy
mm.
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory came out in 1971. That was before my time, but I saw it in the 80s when I was a kid.
I think
It
most of
was,
us did. Yeah.
yeah, it was directed by Mel Stewart and it starred Gene Wilder. Now, the um the thing about that is because I love Gene Wilder. He's a great comedic actor,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought he was Willy Wonka for real. Like you
He
couldn't tell me he
embodied
was
it.
Willy Wonka. He
Yes.
embodied it, and oh my gosh, and um, imagine pure imagination.
Oh, doesn't it melt your heart?
Oh, it just like candy. It melts
Yeah.
my heart like the movie. Like it melts my heart like candy. And it's not crazy, but it's I often go to like on YouTube here on YouTube and just listen to that song, to that to that scene with
Yes.
that song. Oh, that song is just oh my gosh, it's
Mm.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. But again,
It,
I wanted to be in the movie. I thought my little kid self thought that was real chocolate they were eating. Like the
mm-hmm.
chocolate river, everything. Oh my God, I wanted to be in that movie.
Yeah, me too. And you know who I wanted to be?
Charlie.
Faruka Salt. That was my favorite character. That was my favorite character in the whole movie. I loved her. I thought
Her.
she was horrible and funny and just spoiled brat, and she's like, geeses and gooses and, oh my God. And she
I
was,
mean,
give it to me
like I
now.
think right. I think as a kid, I'm quite sure it went over our heads. Like every time 'cause I own it. It's in my DVD. It's in my
Me too.
library.
Hmm.
And as a kid, I didn't peep. Like after each kid was banished, pretty much, and then they said the song it was about them and like if you was a spoiled
Yes,
brat,
what they were.
it had a message
The
too. I
message.
was like, but yeah, I that's one of my I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I love
Yes, I've seen that movie. God, I don't even know. I watch it, of course, all the holidays because, of course, it comes up. But I think, with the whole cast, yeah, I don't know why I just loved Veruca because she was horrible, and the fact that she was a bad egg, that was
I,
so
I
funny. She
like
went down that
Charlie.
chute. She went down the bad side, and Daddy went right
Yeah,
right on along with her. But
yeah.
I
My
think,
favorite
like,
was Charlie. My favorite was
yeah,
Charlie
yeah,
as a
he was
kid.
so sweet.
Because you just wanted to root for him.
He was so sweet.
He
Yeah,
was.
him
Yeah.
and the relationship that he had with the grandfather, and the fact that they got to go. I've had many things that I'm a collector of things, so the finding the Wonka chocolate bar and noticing that they still make some of that candy that I didn't know that
Mhm.
existed, the Wonka candy. Um,
Mhm.
so I always wanted to immerse myself in anything that had to do with that movie at the time. It was just and the great music. You think about who can make the sunrise. You just
Yes.
of course
Candyman
Candyman can.
can.
Of course he can. And I
God.
just thought it was a sweet movie, and it was it's timeless. You think about that ride that they took, that scary ride that they took to
Yeah.
get
Oh, that
to
was
to get
crazy.
to the factory. That was terrifying. I was
That was
scared.
crazy. I was like, okay, was somebody high during this, writing this? Because it's like a psychedelic scene.
Exactly. See, you and me, yeah, 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 yeah. There you go. You were right there with it.
Right.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so that was my number two. So before we get
Awesome.
into our number ones, we have another. Did you know?
Did you know? Did you
Did you know? All right. So, did you know that to date, The Sound of Music continues to be the most watched musical movie drama, because of the rewatches, and it crosses generations. I mean,
Oh,
they even have like the special sing-alongs, in certain
yeah,
theaters.
I watched those too. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yep, I've
Really?
watched that movie. I don't know how many times, and then I started to have my, my family watches, my kids and stuff, and the message in it was really important.
Yeah.
Uh, and the love story was great, but the kids, my favorite things. That's one of my
That's
favorite
another one. I'm
songs.
like, I can do without.
No.
It is.
Oh,
I'm good for the rest of my life. I don't. No.
no. And I'm gonna cry like the Tin Man.
All right,
Oh,
y'all. All right. We are
but I
going
get
to
it.
do, yeah,
I,
yeah. So we're going to get to our number one. What's your number one? Well, I already know, but yeah.
so this one was kind of hard for me because it wasn't hard. I'll say it like this. So I have I don't know if we could split that. It's kind of a tier, sort of number one. So my underscore number one is The Color Purple. The music, uh, I
I
just
definitely
love
call.
the music in it is again, Quincy hit it out the park for me.
Yeah.
With the songs, sister, and God is trying to tell me something. I
Mm,
really
girl.
loved the music. It had me
Mm,
crying when I was a
girl.
little girl when I saw it, but I was still crying.
Mm.
Oh, the sisters, you and me should never part. So,
Girl, that God is trying to tell you something. Okay.
God is trying to, that for me, I said, the score was so important,
Yes.
so I really, that's one of the reasons why it's top tier for me. But my number one is I can't even speak when I'm speaking on this. Purple Rain.
Okay, let me just say that's my number one too.
No,
So
no,
we can just talk about it. So I don't have to announce mine. That's my number one
yes,
as well. Okay,
out.
girl, that's my number one. Oh, but
That is my number one all
it's
time
not
favorite.
it's not the most. We know what it is.
Oh,
It's not
it's so.
it's not an Oscar worth. Come on, we
Oh,
know what it is. We know it's some horrible stuff. But the entertain because Prince was my guy.
that was mine too.
'Cause
Mine too.
my brother, my mother loved Michael Jackson. I like Michael Jackson,
I
but I
liked him.
loved
I
Prince.
love Prince. That was my dude. That was my guy. And the funny part about that is, now I just did something about a month ago. That
Hmm.
was I felt, like I should have, came out a little better on it. But so
Okay.
Airbnb had took over a house that Prince had purchased, which was the house that they filmed the Purple Rain movie in
Mm.
Minnesota. So he bought the house, okay.
Mm.
And what happened was he was going to do some work with it. They didn't know exactly what he wanted to do, but he wanted to own it, so he bought it. And what happened was, during the estate and all of that, and one of the siblings died or whatever, they let Airbnb take
Oh, wow.
partial ownership of the home, and they redid the home exactly like it was in the movie.
Mm.
And so what they did was is they had a contest, and they said you have to write an essay, and if you write this essay really well, you get to stay in this Airbnb for $6 or
Wait.
$6 because that was his favorite number. Prince's favorite number. So, I got right on that essay. I'm like, so they were showing the pictures and stuff. If you go online, you can probably see, how it looks. But they put some of his personal belongings in the hotel, and they put it like some of his clothing and stuff in the
Mm.
closets, but they
So good,
made it look
some nice
exactly like it.
memorabilia.
Yeah, so you could
Okay.
touch it and feel it and take pictures and all of that. But yeah, they only let a certain amount of and I want to say I want to say it was like maybe 10 people go into the home, and you could bring three others with you when if you want. And so um, the funny part was is I did it, and I'm like, they told the results on the 18th of last month, and they were like, we're gonna let you go know when you win. And I'm on the 18th, I'm sitting there and looking at my phone like, come on, come on, come on. So of course I didn't get it, but I did
Oh, girl,
get a
I thought it was gonna
chance
be a
to.
plot twist. I thought you said you got
Oh my
it,
God,
girl. Okay.
I would have passed out, but I really would have been dead on the floor. Okay, so but now Wendy and Lisa were gonna be the host
Oh my God.
of the time spent with the person who won the number one
Oh, that
fan.
was a great prize.
Yeah, so who you had to write the essay to, they had to judge it. And I just thought that was so cute. Funny part was I told them, I said a bunch of stuff in the essay, of course, you're trying to win and all of this. But I fell in love with Prince when I was a little girl. And, people thought he was inappropriate and whatever. But I was like, I heard a song at my cousin's wedding, and it was Lonely. And
Mm.
I said, "Who is the person singing? Who is that?" And said, "Oh, it's the guy on that album cover." And I go over to the album cover. Oh my God! I felt feathered hair, and he was black. Oh Lord!
Yeah, same.
I said,
When I was little, I was like, "Oh, I like him."
yeah. And so, I fell in love, and that was all she wrote. And I loved him till the bitter end. And I, was one of his super fans. But
Mhm.
I thought that was a nice thing to do. But the funny part was is that I visited Minnesota a couple years ago, and I went to that house. I had already been there, but it wasn't. They hadn't done anything. It was just there, and they just said, "Oh, that's the house that they shot the movie in." So they hadn't done anything, and I took a bunch of pictures. I thought you could go in, but I thought that was how ironic was that they chose to do that with that house, and I'm like, how come it couldn't have been like that when I went, But I got
But
to visit it and everything.
yeah,
So
but yeah. So for those who been living under the rock and don't know, Purple Rain was released in 1984 and it starred Prince Apollonia Morris Day. Prince is the kid, and they said they say it's semi autobiographical,
mhm,
you know.
mhm.
But um, I watched that movie again. That's in my library, but I watched that movie at least twice a year. At least twice
Yeah,
a year. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You
I'm
can't tell
right
me.
with
I mean, it's just again, we're not talking about cinematography. We're not talking about the script. We're not talking about none of that. Okay, it's about pure enjoyment,
you. Mhm.
and it is my number one. It is
Mhm.
Terry's number one,
That is
and
so funny.
you know what though? It gets me every time. I don't care. Again, I've seen it so many times,
Mhm.
and I always cry when he does Purple Rain because
Mhm.
it's just something with that
Spiritual.
song. It is, yes, you can
Spiritual.
feel it. I
Yep.
like songs you can feel, and you can
Yep.
feel Purple Rain.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, the guitar,
The weeping
that part.
guitar. The
Oh,
weeping
girl. Oh,
guitar. That slowly weeps, and it's just the most beautiful thing. And that's one of the reasons why I loved him, was the music and the fact that he was so inspiring with all those instruments. And I felt them. You know how some
right.
people, like you said, love Michael Jackson, but it was something about his being that
Yeah.
I gravitated to.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
could
Same.
understand him.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Same.
so
Okay, so that's our number ones, y'all, and we just gonna briefly get into our honorable mentions. We do honorable mentions, ones that we, didn't put on the list, that didn't make the cut, but it's
yeah.
still one of our favorites.
Hmm.
So I know you said the color purple, and what else is an honorable mention for you?
So for me, Carmen, is an honorable
Mm.
mention.
Wasn't Harry Belafonte fine back in the
Yeah,
day?
oh
Oh
my
my God.
goodness. I was like, okay, who are these black people? You know, in this whole movie, this is a great movie. You know,
It
so
was
that's
good.
that was one, and this one is kind of weird, but I still it's kind of still in my personality. Last Dragon, only because it was so weird and the music was good bad. You know,
That's
that
another one. I think my black card needs to be removed because that's another one. And I'm
it's a
like,
very it's an acquired taste, and I think because it's so strange, I gravitated to it only because, like I said, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you the real reason.
okay.
The Rhythm of the Night song by
Oh,
DeBarge.
that's my stuff.
I love that, and I thought it was so funny. And Rudy was in it as well from the Cosby Show, and at the time she was just the funniest little cute little thing to me. But yeah, and then the whole dance thing that Vanity did was so hilarious. That quirky, I like quirky as well. So, that was
I tried to do a rewatch like within the last few years. I was with one of my exes, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. Child, I didn't even make.
you
I fell asleep. We both asleep. Okay, I was like, I can't. I try because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
like
just
back then, I'm just like, and then
yeah, yeah,
it just wasn't like on my in my top. I can't.
yeah,
A lot of people can quote it. I can't.
yeah. People can. That's so funny how they do that. Show enough, type stuff, and
But
but yeah,
yeah,
for me, I was like, the rhythm of the night and the weird thing she did, the elevator door. I was like, what is that?
I didn't see that
That
part.
movie
Yeah.
was so funny to me because it was so bad. It was bad good, you know.
Right,
So
right,
yeah.
right. Like Color Purple. Um, my one of my honorable mentions is The Greatest Showman, and
Okay.
it didn't like really make my list because it's a little bit newer and the other ones had more significance. But The
And that's the
Greatest
one with
Showman,
Hugh
mhm,
Jackman. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
what's his name? Zac Efron and
Yeah.
Zendaya. I
Yeah.
liked it. So it was about supposedly to be about Barnum, how he
Yeah.
came about with the circus, like his life and how he ended up, creating the circus and all that good stuff. But it had some
Mhm.
great music. That soundtrack was good.
Yeah, it
But
was. Yeah.
yeah, so that
I
was
saw
my
it as well.
one of
Yeah.
mine, and my other one was Beat Street.
I love Beach Street. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Beat
That would have
Street.
been
But
on my
it
list.
can go into a couple. Look, those who are watching this series, it's gonna be some movies that overlap in other categories. So just know that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Beat Street can easily go into like dance music or
Yeah.
dance movies too. So but Beat Street it is classified as a musical and dance. So that those are my two. So yeah,
Oh, Beach
y'all.
Street. Yeah, it
So
was more dramatic. It was more
yeah,
dramatic. Yeah.
it
So
was.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that takes me back.
Yeah. So thank you
Oh,
so much, Terry,
you're
for
welcome.
doing an episode. Everybody, if you did not click the like on your way in, you can go ahead and click it on your way out. Okay. Again, just liking content creators, videos is a free way to support, and it
Please
helps
support.
us. Yes, and it helps us to be in the algorithm of fellow like movie nerds. And
Yes.
again, subscribe because your girl
Subscribe.
is on her way to 500. So we're gonna do that, okay?
Yes.
I'm gonna eat
Yes. Come
an
on,
elephant
people.
one bite at a time. Come
Come
on,
on.
subscribe.
Click
Right.
that button.
All right. Again, thank you, Terry. And
You're welcome.
everybody, I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Somewhere over the